Emma Collins had always loved letting her garden grow freely. Wildflowers, native grasses, and a mix of herbs flourished among the shrubs. Bees buzzed, butterflies danced, and birds nested in the branches. Her backyard was a miniature paradise of biodiversity. Children from the neighborhood often peeked over her fence, marveling at the tiny ecosystem alive with movement. Emma carefully tended the garden, but never imposed strict order, believing that nature thrived best when left to its own devices. It was her sanctuary and a quiet rebellion against perfectly manicured lawns. Little did she know, the very beauty she cherished would soon draw the ire of the HOA and capture the attention of scientists thousands of miles away. It didn't take long for the HOA to notice. Karen Whitmore, the president, strolled down the street one afternoon and stopped dead at Emma's fence. "This is unacceptable," she exclaimed to herself. Emma waved politely, unaware of the brewing storm. That evening, a formal letter arrived. The garden was labeled too wild, unsightly, and a potential hazard to neighbors' property values. Karen demanded that Emma trim, mow, and sanitize the yard within 2 weeks or face escalating fines. Emma read the letter in disbelief, thinking, how can thriving flowers and buzzing bees be a hazard? She realized the battle lines were drawn. Nature versus bureaucracy. The official notice arrived, stamped and threatening, citing HOA bylaws about yard aesthetics and public safety hazards. Emma stared at it, noting how specific the HOA had become. Every wildflower patch, every tall grass clump, every colorful bloom was singled out. Neighbors whispered, some siding with the HOA out of fear, others silently rooting for Emma. She documented the garden carefully, photographing bees on flowers, birds in trees, and the intricate web of life that it developed. Determined, she decided she would fight the fines and preserve the little world she had cultivated with love. News of the dispute spread quickly. Some neighbors were aghast, agreeing with Karen's strict views. "It looks chaotic. Pests will come," one warned. Others admired the vibrant life Emma's garden hosted. Children left notes under her fence. "Save the flowers," and "Don't cut the bees." The street buzzed with debate, and some neighbors even offered to help her protect the garden. Social media became involved as photos of Emma's flourishing backyard circulated online. It was no longer just a backyard. It had become a battleground between natural beauty and suburban conformity. Under pressure. Emma reluctantly trimmed a few overgrown patches, trying to appease the HOA without harming the ecosystem. Within days, she noticed the change. Pollinators disappeared, insects vanished, and some flowers wilted. The garden seemed to lose its life and vibrancy. Emma realized the delicate balance she had nurtured could not survive excessive pruning or sterilization. She began documenting the decline meticulously, taking notes, photographs, and time-lapse videos, preparing evidence to show that the garden's natural growth was essential to its thriving ecosystem. Karen wasn't satisfied. A week later, she sent another letter, now threatening legal action and daily fines. Inspectors from the HOA toured the yard, shaking their heads at every untamed patch. Emma calmly explained that the garden supported local pollinators and birds, but the HOA dismissed her points. She knew she needed expert testimony to protect the garden. As the situation intensified, curious neighbors began observing the conflict, some siding with Emma's cause, others whispering about HOA overreach. A local university ecology team heard about the dispute online and visited Emma's backyard. They were amazed by the diversity. Dozens of native plant species, thriving insects, and balanced wildlife. Dr. Martinez, the lead ecologist, explained that suburban gardens rarely achieve such biodiversity. The team took soil samples, photographed insects, and noted how Emma's minimal intervention allowed nature to thrive. Emma realized she had more than aesthetic arguments. She had scientific proof that her garden was extraordinary. Emma posted photos and findings online, tagging local science pages. To her astonishment, NASA scientists monitoring Earth's ecosystems noticed her garden. They contacted her, intrigued by a micro-ecosystem thriving in an urban environment. "This is remarkable," wrote one researcher. "We'd like to study It is a model for sustainable urban biodiversity. The story exploded online. Suddenly, Emma's backyard was no longer a private garden. It had become a nationally recognized ecosystem, merging science and everyday life. Asterisk media outlets picked up this story. Headlines read, HOA versus Backyard Nature, Who Wins? And NASA approves wild garden in suburbia. Public debate surged. Should suburban aesthetics take precedence over environmental preservation? Viewers around the country were captivated. Children created fan art of Emma's garden, and hashtags like #WildGardenVictory trended on social media. Karen found herself at the center of a national controversy, criticized for opposing scientific progress and natural beauty. Asterisk, despite growing public support for Emma, the HOA attempted a final push. They sent inspectors again, citing potential pests, weeds, and chaos in the neighborhood. Emma welcomed them, offering tours and explaining every species' role in the ecosystem. Dr. Martinez and her team accompanied her, providing expert validation. Each attempt to discredit the garden failed spectacularly. The HOA's complaints seemed petty in the face of thriving life, and the neighborhood began rallying behind Emma. NASA and the university ecologists issued formal statements, recognizing Emma's backyard as a model micro-ecosystem. They highlighted the ecological importance of native plants, pollinators, and balanced insect populations. The garden became a case study in sustainable urban biodiversity. Media outlets covered the story extensively, praising Emma for preserving life against bureaucratic pressure. Karen's warnings now looked ridiculous in contrast to scientific validation. The garden's fame soared, and Emma's work inspired other neighborhoods to consider the benefits of wild gardens. Asterisk, inspired by Emma's victory, neighbors began planting wildflowers, pollinator-friendly shrubs, and native grasses in their own yards. Children organized garden days, learning about bees, butterflies, and soil health. Emma's backyard became a hub of education and community engagement. Karen's rigid authority waned as the community embraced the ecological benefits. Social media documented the transformation, spreading awareness about the importance of letting nature flourish even in suburban settings. Asterisk, a drone video captured the full extent of the garden. Wildflowers in bloom, bees buzzing, butterflies dancing, and birds nesting in abundance. The footage went viral, receiving millions of views worldwide. News outlets featured Emma's garden as a symbol of harmony between humans and nature. From HOA threats to NASA recognition, read one headline. The story inspired urban gardeners, environmentalists, and educators, showing that allowing nature to thrive could coexist with human communities. Asterisk, with scientific validation and public support, the HOA rescinded fines and officially recognized Emma's garden as compliant with community rules. Karen's opposition lost credibility, and she quietly stepped back from public criticism. Emma's garden was legally safe, scientifically celebrated, and culturally iconic. The tiny ecosystem she had nurtured became a symbol of resilience, advocacy, and the power of evidence over arbitrary rules. Asterisk, Emma hosted an open garden day for neighbors, children, and scientists. People marveled at the diversity, tasted herbal teas made from garden plants, and attended workshops on pollinator-friendly gardening. Emma stood among her thriving garden, smiling at the bees, butterflies, and wildflowers she had protected. The story became legendary, teaching the lesson that respecting nature, listening to science, and standing firm against unnecessary regulation could yield extraordinary rewards. Harmony between humans and nature had been restored.